Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in two tanks that haven't been sold for a very long time, and they're two pretty eagerly awaited tanks, and that is the Valkyria Chronicles tanks, the Edelweiss and the Nameless. Now they both come with two special crews that have special voice lines that you'll hear. For the weebs out there, you will absolutely love them. For other people you might find them a little bit annoying, but that's one of the things that will be really helpful with the new crew update thing that they put in, where you can actually swap crew, 9 perk crews onto another crew, so you don't actually have to spend time training this crew up. You can just spend 45,000 silver and then make them 9 skill crews. Pretty nice. I kind of like them because I kind of like the unique voice lines. I'm saying with the Sabaton crew, I like the unique voice lines of some of these tanks. Breaks up the monotony of some of the normal sounding crews, right? And yeah, the Edelweiss is the first one you're going to see, and then the Nameless is the second replay. And in the first replay, we are in the Nameless. So let's go over what we like with the Nameless. Well, the Nameless has amazing mobility. Absolutely amazing mobility. It's got troll turret armor, so I wouldn't rely on this turret armor, but it is troll. So if you're on a ridgeline, you can bounce the odd shot here and there. The upper plate is also fairly troll, so if you're wiggling and ducking and dodging, you can bounce the odd shot here and there as well. But it isn't the best armor in the universe. It really isn't. So I wouldn't rely on I wouldn't go head to head with tanks and think, yes, I'm going to bounce everything, because you won't. The gun does let it down for me a lot. The gun is kind of painful, to be honest. The 2.3 second aim time is a little bit of a letdown. 195 pen on the AP rounds is a little bit sad at times. Although there is quite a lot of tier 8 mediums that do have around that pen anyway, so, but most tanks are breaching 200, right, these days, with the new way most tanks are balanced, they're breaching 200. And 195 just feels that little bit old school. Add to that, it's got 850 shell velocity, which means the shells go so slowly. That is a bit painful. And it just, I feel like that lets the tank down a lot. So what do I run in terms of a crew? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Trap Mechanic, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, and Camouflage Expertise. Now, I run Camouflage Expertise because it's a medium tank, and I want to make the camo just that little bit better. It does have 22% steel concealment, which is alright, but the thing is, you are as big as a house, so you tend to get spotted just a little bit more than you would in other tanks that are a little bit smaller, because you have to overexpose a lot to be able to get different shots. Add to that, the gun handling, like I say, is a bit is very derpy, so you want to make the gun handling as good as possible with those crew skills as you can. And in terms of the equipment that I run on the tank, I do run rammer, vert stabs, and optics, so they're exactly the same as I'll run on the Nameless as well. Help the gun out as much as possible, get the view range up, and get the DPM as good as possible. Because, 5.6 second reload is pretty nice for 240 alpha at tier 8. It's pretty decent. And it means that you can do stuff like this. When tanks haven't got track mechanic or anything like that, you can just perma-track them in place, and you can get a decent amount of assistance. So like I say, the Edelweiss has amazing mobility, and that is one thing that really helps. One thing I've felt with these tanks, and especially this one, is when you are bottom tier, you do struggle. Because AP at 195 pen isn't enough, and 245 pen, it's still, you can pen a lot of the tier 9s and 10s, but with the shell velocity only of 1,000, it does feel a bit poor. Add to that the gun is really awkward. Same on the Nameless, that they've got two little, front lamps or lights or whatever you want to call them on the front, and the gun actually goes up above them every time you go over them. So when you're aiming over the front of the tank, you lose a lot of gun depression, and it just makes it really awkward on a ridgeline, and that's one thing I found kind of painful, because when you've had to go over a ridgeline to shoot at someone, it tends to be that you just lose the gun depression and have to overexpose yourself far too much to get the shot in, and then you just tend to take a lot of damage. One thing I will say is, because the mobility is amazing, it gets up to 60 odd kilometers an hour, dead easy, and you saw it a minute ago. I thought, this is one of my first games in the tank, so I was like, oh, you know what, I want to see how well this thing can ram, because I don't know how heavy it is. That doesn't tell you in game. And I'm doing 60 kilometers an hour, so let's ram a Type 59-2. Yeah, don't really ram things in this tank. It doesn't go that well. I rammed him, he took 150 damage, I took 200, made it a little bit awkward, and then as well as that, in doing that, I got far too close to him, and it made it really awkward to shoot at him, because like I say, the gun depression on this tank is extremely awkward. It's a bit of an awkward tank, to be honest. If you were going for a medium tank and you wanted the next best medium tank, or the next best premium tank, or just a new premium tank that you think looks like it's going to be a lot of fun and going to be really good, this one and the the Nameless are probably not for you. There's far more tanks out there these days that I'd recommend highly above this tank, right? But if you're a collector, or you just think that these tanks look cool and you want the cool crew, you know, the weeb crew, then go for them, because you don't know, they could go on sale now and they'll probably never go on sale again because of the license expiring, just like they were before. Before, it was like they were never possibly going to go on sale, and you know, for those that had it, that was it. But they finally managed to renew the license, and you got this tank. So, on this map, on Heilbronn, on this tank, we've managed to do 3,000 damage, 484 assistance. We've done a decent amount. We've managed to use the mobility of this tank to good effect. Use the decent DPM that we have as well to keep dishing out the hurt. But we have lost most of our health because we've been very, very aggressive. Like I say, most of it was that Type 59-2. This P43 turret was coming in to get us. Whenever you see someone doing that yellow rush, like they are clearly going, you, I want you. Track them in place, because that guy was clearly coming for me. I tracked him in place, and I managed to get a load of assistance on him because my friends shot him in place. So, Yahtzee is in front of us. I load premium 245 pen because I'm not going to pen that guy in the front, in the lower, well, we'll possibly pen him with 195 pen in the lower plate. But for the most part, we're going to struggle to pen this guy. So we load the 245 pen APCR because we're more likely to pen him with it. And that's one of those tanks where, well, it's one of those times where this tank with the 195 pen does feel a little bit low because I just do struggle. Unfortunately, we didn't hit the drive wheel of the Yahtzee there, which is really unfortunate. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not letting you kill me yet. I'm not going to let you kill me until the right moment. And that moment is now. My team's pressing in. I'm like, right, I'm going to get one more shot probably before he gets shut down. He shuts me down, and then he'll end up getting finished off. Yeah, the Edelweiss, it's alright. Like I say, the mobility, if you can use the mobility, it's great. If you can keep flanking, fantastic. Fighting on ridge lines is extremely awkward in this tank, and the gun handling can just let you down so often. And like I said, the shell velocity is really derpy. It just seems to miss shots that most tanks don't. It's kind of annoying. But we finished with 3 kills. Ace Tanker, the high caliber, 1873 base XP, 4.3k damage, and 1,000 assisted. That's a really nice game for the Edelweiss. It's a pretty decent tank. It could do with a little bit of love, like I say. I kind of want it to have better shell velocity. It'd be nice if they buffed the shell velocity of it a little bit. Maybe buff the aim time a little bit more. I don't know, just a little bit here or there to just help it, because the gun depression does make it extremely awkward to play on ridge lines, and yeah, there's just little things about a tank that do annoy me to the point where I'm thinking, well, there's lots of other tanks that I'd just rather have, you know? Like the STA2, for example, you know, if we're sticking with Japanese. That tank is far better than the Edelweiss is. It's slower, sure, but the gun handling is a little bit better, the DPM is way better, the camo's better, you know, it's got pref as well. Pref is better. So you don't have to see the tier 10s. Because that is one thing that has been annoying, is obviously because it's tier 10 silver weekend. Playing these two tanks has been bottom tier non-stop, and they just haven't dealt with the tier 10s at all. Like, you'll see in the Nameless now, right? The Nameless has pretty solid armor for being top tier. Against anything that's got 240 plus pen, just seem to butter it up left, right and centre all over the place. The turret is decent, and they do tend to bounce a fair amount on the turret, but you can't rely on it again. And like I said, it just seems to get wrecked a fair amount when you're facing the 240, 250 pen mark, which is a little bit annoying. Add to that the gun depression on the Nameless is exceptionally disappointing. You've got 8 degrees over the side, which is great, but the problem is it's over the side, and I think you get 4 or 5 over the front, something like that. I think it's 4 over the front that goes to 3 when you go over the little headlights on the front, which just makes using the armour on this tank exceptionally awkward. For it to be decent and that, it's really annoying, because you're like, okay, I'll get the gun down to shoot this person. Oh, I have to show them my side armour, which means my frontal armour means 0 diddly squat, you know? And that can be very, very annoying to use this tank for. And especially when you are bottom tier, when things just go through your front anyway and then go through your side, and you're really struggling to get the gun down to shoot them, that makes it exceptionally just awkward, very, very awkward. And when you're bottom tier, both of these tanks suffer very, very badly. And like I was in a tier 10 weekend, like it is now. It's not even weekend. Tier 10 weak silver, and that it just makes it very awkward to play. But this tank does have 220 pen on its standard AP rounds and 260 pen on its APCR, which is fantastic. To be honest, 220 pen isn't more than is enough for tier 8, and 260 means you'll pen most tanks you'll face, which is great. So in terms of a crew that I run on this tank, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Trap Mechanic, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, and Off-Road Driving. Off-Road Driving just to help the mobility of the tank, because that is one thing that the Nameless has. Mobility. It can get up to 50 kilometers an hour, and if you put off-road driving on, you tend to sail at about 48 consistently. And that is fantastic for a heavy tank. And add that, you've got your 300 alpha, and you fire every 6.7 seconds. That's pretty decent. If you can get the gun down on target, it's really damn nice to use. And like I say, you can zip about, you can get to aggressive positions, and that is fantastic about the tank. That is one thing that is good about it. And the gun does feel pretty decent for me. It's still, again, it does miss the odd shot here and there, and that can be a little bit frustrating because, you know, the accuracy of the gun is 0.37, which is better than the medium tank, which is weird. But you can get that down with the vert stabs, you can get that down with all the gun perks, and you can make it pretty damn usable. Most of the time you're going to be pretty aimed because you're a heavy tank, and most of the time you are aiming. You do have 2.3 seconds aim time again, which is pretty slow, but again, a heavy tank, it's not that bad. That's actually like more average for it. Now, it can bounce stuff quite well though. When you are top tier, the armor on this tank in particular is very, very good, and it helps you to be able to bounce shells really quite consistently against tanks that have about 200 pen. 200 to 220 pen, they really do struggle. They have to hit your lower plate, but the thing is your lower plate does have a little lip over the front of it as well, which means that you do bounce shots that people think they should pen, but they don't because they hit the lip. And it's really, really nice armor for top tier, and that is one thing I can't knock about it. When you are top tier, it's fantastic, like we are in this game, but when you're mid tier to bottom tier, it really does suffer. So in this game on El Haloof, we fought well on the corner. We've got a lot of damage, 4.4k damage. We managed to shut down the Jagdpanther 2. Now there's two tanks left. There's a medium tank on the right, and there's this King Dragon. The medium tank on the right gets shut down, and there's just this King Dragon. It's like, right, okay, let's get some shots into this guy. I say the gun handling's decent. The shell velocity's poor at like 800 meters a second again, and I think it's only 950 on the APCR, which is ew. But you are a heavy tank, so you're more likely to be close up. This King Dragon is poking out. It's like, well, let's get a shot into him. And he manages to snap the shot in towards and finishes off there somehow. But that was where the tank's just that little bit awkward, and we had to use the gun depression in a weird way to be able to get a shot. But we did finish the game with top on our team, Ace Tanker, High Caliber, 1808 base XP, 4700 damage. I say this tank does dish out damage quite quickly, and it's quite nice for that if you are in a good brawling situation. But the armor just does let it down when it's bottom tier a lot. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!